So, welcome everybody to yet another episode of Going Beyond Your Comfort Zone. And this evening, different time than normal, I have a very special guest, Dan McQueen. He's calling in from Vancouver. Um, he has quite an extraordinary story, recovering from brain injury or hemorrhage. I'm not too familiar with the medical terms. You can fill that all in for me. I'm sure you're a lot better than I. Uh, but it's been quite a recovery, a journey of recovery for him, and I'm really curious, what that took for him to go beyond his comfort zone. And yeah, Dan, if you're very welcome to introduce yourself. I'm very happy to have you here.
Thank you, Bess. Love that it make this work and connect. It's been a long time coming, so happy to be on the show. My name's Dan McQueen. I'm based in Vancouver, Canada. Speaker based in Vancouver, Canada. I guess my claim to fame, Bass, is my claim to fame. Why I might be something of interest to your podcast is I've experienced a traumatic brain injury, and this happened in London, England, in 2014. What was happening, if I can outline it for you, Bass?
Of course.
Was having headaches. The headaches were getting persistently worse. Massive headache, massive pain. Taking painkillers like candy for them. My head was pounding. I went to A&E. Now, A&E is accident emergency or ER. I guess you probably have A&E in
yeah.
Where you're from?
The Netherlands.
The Netherlands, yeah. But the first time I went there, I thought it was vertigo. They sent me home. The next day I was on the tube to get around London. And the headaches were so bad, the pressure was so big in my brain, my vision blacked out. I couldn't see. I was blind for 3 minutes. Luckily, I made it to my stop, so I got up on Notting Hill Gate, stepped down on the platform, and the curtain fell. It was black. I couldn't see. I was terrified. I didn't know what to do. This is not good. This is not normal. The vision came back after 3 minutes, okay? But I was determined to get this checked out at A&E the next day as well. Went back to A&E. Again, they thought it was vertigo. They sent me home, but on the way out, they told me I could always get my eyes checked in an optometrist. An optometrist, you say, yeah, the eyes are an extension of the brain. That makes sense. Next day, the headaches were worse than all hell. I found myself in Mr. Patel's chair. He was midway through a routine exam when he stops the exam and excuses himself from the room. He comes back a few minutes later with a sealed envelope, which he gives to me, and he tells me I need to go directly to Moorfields Hospital. Bass, which I did. Tell a lie. I stopped at home first to grab a Jack Reacher book by Lee Child, a phone charger, and a bite to eat. Then I made my way to Moorfields Hospital. They ran the same test there, then escalated me up to Charing Cross Hospital. It turns out I had a dangerous buildup of pressure in my brain caused from a non-cancerous cyst in my head. Turns out I required emergency brain surgery tomorrow. Turns out my world was about to change altogether. The last text message I sent my mom, my poor mom, was, "I'll see you soon, Mom. Think I'll have a new haircut next time I see you. Love, Dad." So she's in the air flying to London on June 21st, 2014. I'm on the operating table. Something goes horribly wrong, and I have a massive bleed in the brain. A brain hemorrhage. I think the cyst burst when they operated. Mom lands and finds I'm in critical condition. I was in a coma for 4 weeks. I was in and out of consciousness for months after this. Things were dicey, touch and go. When all was said and done, Bass, I was learning how to walk, talk, and even smile again. That's kind of where things kicked off for me, Bass.
So how do you wake up from something like that?
Well, I woke up in the hospital. I see my mom, dad, and brother on the bed.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to talk, but I can't talk because I had a tracheotomy removed. My vocal cords are pretty fried. It took me a few weeks to get my voice back. And I'm trying to talk, but I can't talk. Give me a pen and paper, which I'm sure they're relieved because I just had a brain injury, so that means at least I got some cognitive skills left. And writing the pen and paper to my brother, I go, "Get me out of here." And I show it to him. And I point to the pen and paper, and I go, "Get me out of here, Cam." He says, "What do you want me to do, bud? You can't walk. You're one-eyed wonky as hell. You've got a brain injury. There's tubes and hoses coming out of you." You're not going anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
But that was my introduction back to the real world. That was after 4 weeks in a coma too. So I was, out of sorts, looking all hell, and just, hey, Dan, this is your reality now. You've had a brain hemorrhage. You can't walk, talk. And, well, I didn't know they didn't tell me I couldn't smile, but my face muscles were frozen. So it took me a while to get the face muscles back. So reality changed in an instant, and I had to come to terms with that pretty quick to kind of make heads and tails of it. Does that make sense?
And how? So how? When did you realize you couldn't? Did you instantly realize that you couldn't walk, talk, any of those things, or did that sink in? How long did that take?
Well, the talking was pretty instant because I tried talking to my parents right off the hop, and the vocal cord didn't come out. The walking, I was, bedridden. My leg was frozen at an angle in the ICU, so I lost use of my legs. So I had to rehab this for months to get back to walking. And the smiling part, well, that was just a matter of, I had a pretty deadpan face, so you could say anything to me and I would just look at you blankly. I didn't really have a reaction. And that's from the time of the coma, just took some while to get my muscle and feeling back my face. So it was, pretty quick you realize that, your reality of how you lived your life to 20 years before this was shattered in an instant, right? I'm no longer that person I was before I went into the coma, before the surgery. I am now this person who can't walk, talk, or smile in a foreign country in London. So you're not dead from the brain injury, right? But life starts right now. How do you react to this? How do you respond to it? How do you think about it? I know you're all about mindset. How do you think about this to not go down what I call the pity spiral? And that is, the pity spiral is the woes to me is not fair. I'm a victim here. This isn't fair. And Bass, you're not wrong. But very quickly on, I realized that it doesn't matter if you're right or wrong with this. It's how you think about it that matters. It's not what happens to you, but how you think about it that matters. How you react to it that matters. That's an Epictetus through line, a Stoic philosopher through line. And I very quickly realized that it's not what happens to you, but how you respond to it that matters. And I never, ever whinged about the brain hemorrhage. The one thing I did complain about a few times was a splint, but that's a few months into the recovery injury. So that's a bit of a setback, but it's all mental. It's a mental game after this point, Bass.
And how long did the recovery take you?
Well, to be honest, Bass, it's an ongoing thing. It took me 5 months to walk again, 4 months to walk again. Out of work. In order to walk, I had to wear the splint over my left leg, right? I'll share a story about the splint if you don't mind, Bass. That'd be okay?
Yes, yeah.
So I had to wear the splint 1 hour leg on my left leg to stretch it out in the nighttime gently. So I'd rehab during the day, wear the splint at night. I could rehab, it'd be awesome. The first night I wore the splint through the night, no stress. This will be easy, I thought. This will be very easy. The second night, after 20 minutes, it was painful. After 30 minutes, it was dreadful. After 40 minutes, it was unbearable. I buzzed the nurse. We take the splint off. But I tell the nurse we're going to do this for an hour. I'm a walker.
I'm not familiar with what is a splint.
A splint's like a cast you wear over your leg.
Okay.
Sorry, I should have clarified that. It's a cast.
No problem. Okay.
So it looks like a cast over your leg to gently stretch out the leg muscle. So my leg muscle was like this. I used to get like this.
Yeah.
With the splint. But so the first night I wore the splint, no stress. The second night, after 20 minutes, it was painful. After 30 minutes, it was dreadful. After 40, it's unbearable. I buzzed the nurse. I can't take the pain anymore. It's that painful. But I tell them on the way out, tomorrow we're doing this for an hour. I'm a walker. I can handle the pain. I'm a walker. Big talk. So the third night, they wrap up my leg. They give me the clicker, the nurse call button. And they go patrol the Wilson ward. Now, the Wilson ward was an L shape, so short on this side, longer on this side, okay? Short on this side, longer on this side. And they leave me in a hospital room that smells like only a hospital room can smell. Sanitized, sterilized. It's clean. We wonder what sort of atrocity has been committed under the guise of this scent, this lemon zest. After 10 minutes, the leg's painful. After 20 minutes, the leg's dreadful. After 30 minutes, the leg is unbearable. I start passing the clicker back and forth, trying to distract myself from the pain, right? Now, Bass, I've got double vision from the brain injury, which means I get the pleasure of seeing 2 of you, which means I see 2 of this clicker. As the pain ratchets up, my throws get more enthusiastic. Till eventually, inevitably, I drop the clicker. And it lands on the hard linoleum floor 3.5 feet down on the ground. Sugar, I say. Bass, I do not say sugar.
No.
I look over the edge of the bed and see the clicker on the floor looking back at me. If I can only get to that clicker, I can end this pain, this atrocity, this monstrosity on my leg. Only problem was a fall from that height might break my arm. In fact, I figured about a 50-50 chance we'd break my arm. A coin flip. Not the best odds. I changed tack. I'm trying to undo the splint by the center of the ankle, not at the hip. I'm not that flexible. I can't reach that far. I can't untie it. It's too far down the leg. Help, buddy. The word of the wolf was an L shape, right? Short on this side, long on this side. Short on this side, long on this side. At the far end of the war, they can't hear me out for help. I decided to flip the coin, drop down and grab the clicker. Even if I break my arm, this splint needs to come off my leg now, immediately. Lower myself off the edge of the bed, and I crash down in a heap. Blankets, wires, cables, it's all a go. The arm holds. And I hammer the clicker, expecting the nurses to come bursting into the room to come to my rescue like the bat signal's been put up. They kind of strolled in 5 minutes later. What are you doing in the floor, love? It's my English accent. I say, let's not worry about that. Let's get the splint off my leg. Please don't tell you all about this. It's not what happens to you, but how you respond to it that matters, right? The reason why I'm telling you stories, I learned 3 lessons from this experience. The first and probably most obvious is let's not pass the clicker back and forth. You know, that's a slow learn for me. The second was let's do the splint tip at the hip, not at the ankle. That way I can undo this should this happen going forwards. And the third and probably most profound, let's always be solutions oriented from this moment onwards. How can you fix your problem? Not what your problem is. Afterwards, backtrack and understand why the problem happened, but go down the road to find this out. Now, with the help of the splint tips, we'll start walking the hallways of the Wilson. On the Zimmer frame, then I moved up to the Ferrari. The Ferrari was a 4-wheeled walker I kind of waddle around quickly on. Then I moved up to naked walks. Now what's a naked walk, you may ask, Bass? Nothing too crazy. I'm walking without sport aids, but I'm having fun here. I'm calling it a naked walk because I get the reaction from people. I'm making this interesting and fun for myself, right? I'm having fun here.
Mm-hmm.
Then I moved up to constructive optimism, walking in Tooting Broadway.
Walking
so,
in.
Bass, have you been to London, England?
Yeah, I have.
Have you been to Tooting Broadway?
No. Well, I don't know. Maybe I've been, but I'm not so familiar with streets.
It's not that common of a hot spot. You probably know if you've been there.
Okay.
Let me set the scene for you and your audience. Tooting Broadway is an area in South London, an area they call up and coming. Think loud sirens, drugs, gangs.
Okay.
It's dirty, it's hectic, and boy, is it busy. I'm walking with a cane. Walk with an eye patch after 4 months in a wheelchair. I'm literally Bambi on ice. I turn the corner, walk on the high street for the first time. Immediately get slammed into by someone. I stagger back a few feet. Someone scurries past me on the right-hand side. I thought I was done with the rats. Someone had been stabbed on the sidewalk over here. I'm thinking this is a pretty wild place to learn to walk. After a few days of this, I was thinking this is the worst place to learn to walk in the world. Can't they see I'm trying to walk here? Can't they see I'm trying here? Then one day my perspective shifted. Maybe this isn't the worst place to walk in the world. Maybe this is the best. If I can walk here, I can walk anywhere. Now, Bass, Tooting Broadway didn't change, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it went from the worst to the best in my mind, and my mood reflected that. What are you looking at in your life you're convinced is the worst? Convinced is the absolute worst. Hey, maybe it is. Maybe you can find a way to turn down the suck a little bit. Shift that perspective a little bit. The reason why I told you this about learning to walk in Tooting Broadway is when you change the way you look at the world you look at changes. And you don't need a brain hammer to understand that. So that's like learning how to rebuild myself to walk. That was, that was 5 months into this process that I was walking. So I was in a wheelchair up until 4 or 5 months into this. Slowly building myself back up. And the wheelchair took 45 minutes to get into, then 40, then 35, then 30, then 25, then 20. It was difficult, arduous. I'm fighting with my tooth and nail to get myself back to life and some sort of normalcy. It's not easy. It's not easy, but it's simple. But I kept going, kept fighting. Maybe I went back to work. 2.5 days a week at Hootsuite, my old tech company. Not doing much, I'll be honest with you, Bass. I'm kind of going there, looking at emails, being social. Back at the office and feeling great. And then one day I don't show up for work. I met my mom at the tube before I went to work, and I didn't show up at the tube. That's odd. She calls me, no response. She goes back to my flat. I'm unconscious on the floor. The shuttles in my brain had blocked me into hydrocephalus. I'm rushed to the hospital. Emergency brain surgery for the second time. I wake up in the hospital bed hearing the beeping noise of the heart monitor going off. Beep, beep, beep. What happened? What happened? What happened? Well, damn, you had a second brain injury. What do you mean? Well, you had brain surgery again. We got the blockage, but you had brain surgery again. And I go, all my progress is washed away? Well, we got the blockage. But I've been working for a year to get back to work. That's a year to sort of put this injury behind me and move myself forwards. And all that gets ripped from underneath by the carpet. I was devastated by this. The first setback took about a month. The second setback took about a week. I'm shortening the time to acceptance with each one of these setbacks. The third setback, I lost my job this past summer, or this past autumn, from Hootsuite, my tech company. I was part of a corporate restructuring. 400 people lost their job that day. Wrong side of the spreadsheet. I lost my job. It took me an afternoon to make my mind up with this. I'm a speaker tomorrow. That means I need a computer today. A month to a week to an afternoon. Acceptance is probably the most important lesson I've learned from my experience here. Acceptance isn't saying this is fair, this is right. Acceptance is saying that this is the field that I play on. You can deny the field, but at the end of the day, that's the field you got to play on. Mm-hmm. The field's not fair. This is a real field. Okay, tell yourself you want to. When you come to terms with it, it'll still be the same field. The faster you can get to acceptance, the faster you can take steps to resolve it. Wishing something didn't happen is not a way to resolve it. Accepting it and taking steps forward is a way to resolve it. And that's not easy to hear from people because they want to say, like, well, you don't know my experience. You're right, I don't. But acceptance is key for this, right, Bass? I don't know. That's a bit of a rant for you there, bud. Sorry.
No. I'm thank you very much for sharing this. And I mean, I love what you say about acceptance. And Byron Katie once said I went to her school of the work, and one of the things that she said was acceptance is the shortest way to happiness.
Yeah.
Or not accepting what is the shortest way to happiness. And I think a lot of people struggle with that, from big to small things. It should be different, or it's not fair. It shouldn't happen to me. It should not, but that's not, you cannot, there's nothing you can do or act on in that space. But I mean, yeah, you got it big time. Where did you get your motivation to keep going? Did you ever think or want to call it quits, or?
Well, I'm glad you asked that, Bass, because someone else asked me this a little while ago, and I go, what's the alternative for this, right? Like, I'm just going to roll over and die? The odds of you getting to life, the odds of you being born, Bass, are 400 trillion to 1.
Mm-hmm.
400 trillion to 1, right? Some of you are going to get cards. Let's say we're all around a card table. Very few of you will get cards. And now I've got a hand of cards. This is awesome. I can play a hand of cards. But I don't like this one card, so I'm going to muck the whole hand? No, because everyone else around the table didn't get a card. They had a hand of cards. So I'm playing my hand. And it's not fair this happened to me, right? But it's not personal. life happens and stuff happens in life. And like, if you think it's all for you or like to you, you're not that important. It's just like, it happens, but it's not personal towards you.
No.
So the faster you can get that in your head, the faster you can take steps to accept it and move on from things. So I don't think it was ever an option. Like I was going to hold on. When I was holding on here during the injury, Bass, I'm not going to lie to you, I wasn't trying to make it through this. I told my parents he may not make this multiple times.
Mm-hmm.
Second setback, like he may not make this. Like coma 4 weeks, like I was hanging on for dear life, but like I wasn't going to let go. If I was going to fall off the wall, then so be it, but I'm not going to let go of the wall. So if you want to take me, you got to take me, but I'm not going to let you, I'm not going to make this easy for you. Now I speak with my brain injury like it's a joking thing. Like I disrespect it and talk about it in a joking manner because they tried to come for me. They didn't get me. And I want to tell them not today, bud. Like you can't, it's not fair it happened, right? But like, and what? Like it happened.
Yeah.
If you went through life and like, this isn't fair, I'm going to stop trying now because it's not fair. It's like, well, you can go that way if you want, but I can tell you that's not my experience what life's about. It's about overcoming those dips and those adversities in the ascent. I now talk about the ascent back to life, to purpose, to value, to what was meaningful. Like I am so fired up on life now because I know what it's like to not be able to do these things, to be able to walk, talk, or smile. Real food. Well, my dad brought in fish and chips from Kirbyshire Malt in London. Hammersmith, shout out Kirbyshire Malt. And I inhaled these fish and chips because I've been in hospital food for a month, right?
Yeah.
And he goes, Dan, that was so joyous to watch you eat fish and chips, just like inhaling real food. I was like, yeah, this is the real stuff. And this is the Kirbyshire Malt fish and chips, malt vinegar. Oh, proper fish and chips from England. Like, it's wonderful. But like, you realize what it's like when it's taken away from you. And like, I'll be honest with you, Bass, like I had a pretty easy life before this. Things came easy for me. I was happy-go-lucky. Girls, sports, work, like everything came easy to me, right?
Mm-hmm.
After the injury, everything was difficult. Everything was arduous, stuck in molasses. Nothing's working properly. I'm bashing into corners I used to be able to navigate smoothly around. But only by failing do I learn how to improve it and get better. My mantra now is, well, better than yesterday, as you can see on the screen, but also fall down 7 times, get up 8. I'm not going to stop. If I'm going to fail, it'll be because I'm not good enough, but I'm not going to stop and let you say that, oh, he stopped trying. I'm never going to say that. I'm going to keep going. And was that instilled in me beforehand? Probably. Like I was a bit stubborn and a bit undersized and a bit chippy in sports and dating girls and made to feel like I'm not good enough to be there. And I'm like, you know what? I'm good enough to be here. And like that fire inside you, I don't think you can turn that on or off. That's like out of there. It's not. But proving you wrong was a big motivating factor for me. Like that vibe of like, I'm not going to be here. Cool. Watch me. I'm going to show you that I can be here and better than you. And I'm now trying to transition that motivation to less proving you wrong to now service, lending a hand. Your success is my success because that proving you wrong is a pretty toxic vibe. It's pretty potent, but it's very powerful and very destructive. You get very bitter and jaded with this. And once I beat you, the motivation disappears like it was never there. Poof, like it's gone. When it's service-based, your success is my success, Bass. Now, forever, we'll be tied in the podcasting space, for this episode, and I'll cheer you on for life. When I'm trying to beat you, once it's over, it's like, well, the game's over. And like, I'm a game guy. But I kind of find a way to gamify my life and gamify approaching this recovery, if that makes sense.
Yeah, so yeah, you mentioned gamification. How did that help you in your recovery?
Well, for me, life's about play. Actually, this is my podcast right here on the screen. Is Play Loose, Look Tight.
Mm-hmm.
It's on a bit of a pause right now, but that's my podcast. And Play Loose, Look Tight is a 4-word life mantra. Play loose, joie de vivre, enjoy life. Play, the first word, be intentional, have fun. Fun. When it's about play, it's not arduous, difficult. You're having fun here. Conversely, you want to look tight. Be put together on my own time. intentional with your dress and appearance and your demeanor. But play loose and tight is my vibe. When you make life about play, it's quite easy to do. It's not work. It's just you're just playing at it. I was on a podcast, I don't know, a few months back now. It's a gamer podcast, and I kind of realized pretty quickly on man, I haven't played video games in years. The host asked me, well, what was the last video game you really played? And it was like Mario Kart 64, which, for those that know video games, that's a few generations back. Right? And we'll just talk about that related to that. I'm like, cool. So it's like a Mario Kart 64 race, right? Your Yoshi or whatever. There's an obstacle on turn 2. You hit it the first time, unfortunate. Second time you hit it, okay. Third time you hit it, it's like, hey man, there's an obstacle on turn 2. Avoid the turn. Avoid the obstacle. Life's the same way. Avoid those obstacles you're going to run into, and they cause issue. If you don't learn from it, I can't help you. But what's coming up ahead. If you go a few laps, you know where the obstacles are. You got to kind of understand that and gamify that and have fun. This came to terms with naked walks, and I called my walk with my 4-wheel walker the Ferrari racing red. I'm having fun. I'm going fast. It's I'm in a granny walker and I'm calling it my Ferrari. Yeah, this is ridiculous. I'm having fun here. It's for me. It's not for you. Naked walks just fun. It's for me, not for you. Because getting that reaction, you're going for a naked walk, Dan? What's this? You can't go outside and naked walk. It's no, it's all good. It's all good. I'm having fun here, right? It's my enjoyment. I'm having fun for myself. And I have one hacks called the icebreakers. Okay, so icebreakers, with a brain injury, you have fatigue issues, right? I have fatigue issues about 75% of what your battery is now. My battery runs faster than yours, and it starts at 75%. So below 50, I'm less pleasant. Below 40, I'm a bit of a prick. I come up with ways and hacks to prevent my battery from draining. There's these hacks that I use from daily life. In London, I have one called the icebreakers, okay? Use these in the circuses. So Piccadilly Circus, Oxford Circus, they're chaotic places to walk. That's why they're called a circus. An icebreaker is someone walking your direction, you walk in behind them like an icebreaker.
Mm-hmm.
Let them break the ice for you. Let them deal with the oncoming strife, and you're just coaxing off their work. You're saving bandwidth here. I had one called Betting on the Ponies, gamifying life. I take the tube to and from work, and I try to bet on the ponies. So betting on passengers, you think we're getting off of the stops ahead based on their attire. If you're good, you can box out 2 seats. So I get in the tube, and I go, yeah. For Manal and I would go in the tube together, and I go, oh, Manal, I got a couple ponies over here. And I try to gamify life and gamify this recovery, right? But if you make it about fun, about play, it's just easy. It's just joyous. Alan Watts talks about play. And I'm a big believer, if you can make life about play, hey, you're not working, you're having fun at this. That podcast is called Play Loose, Look Tight, Documenting the Process of Life After. You can find it on Spotify, Apple Music, but it's a bit of a pause right now. Now, the content's great, Bass, but the editing's something to be desired. I'm not the best with editing. I'm kind of slap it together, throw it up, we're going with this. But it's a good podcast, good mindset stuff, right?
I have another question for you. Do you look at life before and after your hemorrhage, or is it you don't look at it like that?
I mean, in some degree, yeah. I mean, you're gonna have to. I did a lot of stuff before the hemorrhage that I couldn't do now. I used to drive motorcycles and do stuff that was a bit dangerous and a bit probably not the smartest stuff to do. But I'm glad I did it because I can't do that stuff now.
Mm-hmm.
Can't drive a motorcycle now because that's not a good vibe with double vision. It's not a cool thing to do. The balance is not the best. And look, I'll be honest with you. I can't recall fully a life before the brain injury, but I remember memories I had of doing stuff and quite an active guy. Played a lot of sports, but that's a different chapter in my life, right? That chapter's closed, and now I'm on this chapter. And someone asked me, it's well, Dan, do you wish you could undo the brain injury? If you go back with the magic wand and undo the brain injury, I'm well, first of all, it's kind of a dumb question because I can't. But to even allow yourself to think that way does yourself a disturbance, right? You're kind of saying I'm a victim here. I wish I could undo this. I don't say that now. I say like, you know what? I'm glad. I'm not glad it happened, but it happened. I'm dealing with it. I'm playing the cards I'm dealt, right? I
Mm-hmm.
can't do it. I've learned so much lesson and knowledge from this experience, from my own self-awareness, that like, you know, I wouldn't go back and undo this. Now that being said, I can't undo this, so that's fine. But if you get caught up in the past, you're doing yourself a disservice. Life is about, you know, the good life I have is in front of me, not behind me. And
So
yeah, go ahead, Bess.
yeah, so did some things get easier?
Maybe self-awareness, just because I failed so many times.
Mm-hmm.
I think before I kind of bombastically powered my way through the situation, or be like, oh, whatever, I don't really need to worry about how I appear for other people. It was like, I'm just going to go ahead and steamroll this. And quite a popular guy, lots of friends, and I can kind of get away with stuff that maybe now I can't. But no, nothing's really easier with the brain injury. It's like everything's molasses, and I'm slow, and I'm impulsive, and I say things that are a bit wild and off color sometimes, and you know, the balance is not the best, and the fatigue levels are heavy, and it's not easy, but it's simple to decide what you want to do. Like, am I gonna walk again? Yes. Well, how do you walk? Well, you put in the reps and the even bars and the rehab machine and the exercise material. And you're gonna kind of make that choice. It's not easy, but it's simple to make the choice, and that's what life's about making the choice to go forwards. If you don't choose to go forwards, I can't help you. But if you choose to go forwards, it's easy to choose, but it's not easy to execute. Like, I'm a professional speaker now. Easy to choose that I'm a speaker, but like, Bass, will be honest with you, this is a straight uphill right now. And it's one step forward, 4 steps back, 1 step forward, 5 steps back, 7 steps forward, 1 step back. It's like, it's very difficult to move forward with this, but it's like, it's easy to decide, but not simple, or it's simple, but not easy, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I mean, was it easy to make that decision to become a speaker, or was it like, how was that?
Yeah, so the talk I give, and the reason why I'm a speaker is I used to give a talk for my outpatients at Wilson Rehab Center, London, England, Roehampton. Shout out Wilson. And I give it to outpatients there. After a trip to New York, I kind of created this like idea of like, I can build this talk and share my lessons, because the outpatients didn't really know how to reintegrate back into life, right?
Mm-hmm.
Life's pretty nerfed up in the hospital, and you're like back to real world, like hard edges here. You're bumping into things, bumping into people. People don't really appreciate, like, hey, I need some more time here. So I gave this talk to them to kind of help them navigate through life, and I gave this to them for a couple years. Gave this talk at Hootsuite twice in London and once in Vancouver. One I gave in Vancouver was online, and the feedback I got from that talk was so positive, so empowering for me, that when I lost my job a few months later, I decided, you know what, I'm going to be a speaker full time. This is my calling. This is my purpose in life. I mean, my experience is pretty unique with the 2 brain injuries, having to learn how to walk, talk, and smile again. And to maintain it with a kind of a positive mindset and not like a jaded look on life, I think is pretty unique. Because it's pretty easy to be bitter and jaded and like upset with life and go down that woe is me spiral, but like, I never allowed myself to go down that road. And if you go down the road, I don't know if you can recover, because I never allowed myself to go down the road. So I can't give you advice on that. But every day I wake up with intention and gratitude, and I kind of build myself up, and I know what I'm working towards. My purpose in life is clear, and there's not a doubt in my mind that I'm meant to be a speaker. There's not a doubt in my mind that I can make an impact with this and change the way you look at the world. I'm not trying to change the world. I'm trying to change the way you look at the world, right, Bass? Big difference. I think I can give you that perspective. I mean, I can empower you to think about things differently than you might think of them now, to turn down that suck a little bit for you, Bass.
Yeah, I no, I mean, I hear you. I do. It's like, I'm a mindset coach, but like the mindset you've created for yourself is yeah, it's like truly remarkable, and very, very inspiring. And I think you indeed can share your a great story like on stage with people about the lessons you've learned, and the motivation you found to create the life that you're creating for yourself right now. And just like, when you talk about Tooting Broadway, it's like this is it's just a change of perspective. It's like this maybe is the best place to learn to walk. Yeah.
It's like that's just a simple thing. Like, but like if you look at it from this perspective, not this perspective, it's like, oh, is it the worst or the best? And that shift is like seems small, but like I began to look forward to my walks. Like I'm getting better here. Bump into me, crash past me, good, bring it on. If I can walk here, I can walk anywhere. Like all this struggle and strife is adding to my skill. You're helping me be like training in the gym. You're adding resistance. I'm getting better because of this. Before it was like, oh, this is arduous, difficult. Why can't they see I'm walking here? Don't they understand who I'm talking with? Like they're dealing with there. Like I'm trying to walk. Can't you see the cane? Can't you see the eye patch? Give me some space. But like, no. Bring it on now. I want the strife, the struggle, the grind. Like, give me that stuff now. I want to get better. When that the switch flips in your mind, now you're unbeatable. Like everything is good. Everything is positive. Everything's adding my skill set, making me better with this. It's phenomenal. I'm unbeatable. I'm unstoppable. What are you going to do and come up with? I can't overcome.
I saw you did write a post about skiing, that you went skiing again, and that's something that you that was like 10 years in the making.
Yeah, so this is I'll tell you the story now, Bass. Working on the even bars with my rehab team in Wolfson Rehab Center. They asked me what I was most looking forward to get back to doing. I'm still in a wheelchair at the stage, early days from the brain hemorrhage. I can't do anything. I'm just like in a wheelchair. I'm walking on the even bars. Those are just even bars you hold when you're unstable on your feet. And they asked me what I was most looking forward to get back to doing. And I thought about this is a big question. I got to have a good answer to this because growing up, I played everything: soccer, hockey, volleyball, soccer, skiing. You name it, I played it. I told them I want to ski again. They paused. Non-agreement. Okay, they said. What I'm sure was a simple exercise designed to get me thinking about future goals has been burned in the back of my mind to spin and guide for. Now, I was asked when I want to make this happen. I said 2022. 10 years from my last ski trip, my last time skiing on Morsian Mountain in France and Switzerland. Late in the season into March. Brought the skis into the shop. They get waxed. They get sharpened, but they couldn't adjust my bindings. Now, the bindings would hold your feet to the skis, and they're kind of important when you fall. They either break off or they don't. Mine were set quite high because I used to be a ski racer and an instructor. And there's nothing worse when you fall, when the skis just fall off for no reason, just because the settings aren't too high. So them jacked up to like 10, so they wouldn't fall off ever. Not ideal, but not a game changer, so that's fine. Late in the season into March, we landed on Sun, March 31st. At the base of the Grouse Mountain Super Skyway, you take this big skyway up to the top of the mountain. Remember the old hack as a racer, a ski racer, that you wait to be the last one on the gondola? That way you can rest your skis and your poles on the door. Have your hands free to cruise up. The gondola is fantastic. Now we're on the gondola ride going up. It's a beautiful sunny day. Over the first tower, big forwards, big back. Now, if you're in the audience, just close your eyes to the last leg. I'll take it, the last leg of the slopes. Feel nip of cold in your cheeks. We're climbing. Not cold, but enough to let you know your altitude. Dock of the station. You walk through the station. All your gear, clomp, clomp, clomp. Walk into a wall of sunshine. Beautiful bluebird day. Big inhale. Smell the pines, the cedars, the trees, the fresh air, the snow. Down the stairs. Clang, clang, clang onto the snow. Crunch, crunch, crunch. It's soft back. It's spring, don't you know? We get situated in the hill with the boys, Andrew and RJ. After 10 years off the slopes, after learning how to walk, talk, and smile again, I shredded like I had visualized over and over and over again. It was all there. The muscle memory was all there. It was fantastic. I remember what hack as an instructor to put your poles in your hands like this, keep your upper body still and lower body active. Man, I was ripping it. It was awesome. Fastest I've gone since a brain injury. The best I've had since a brain injury was that day. This is a 10-year goal in the making. To tell you that this is possible to be alive, this is through and through moonshot goal, something bold to aspire to. Here I am skiing. Wasn't able to walk, talk, or smile. This lovely quote from Confucius I love that I'll share with you listeners. It goes, we all have two lives. And the second begins when we realize that we only have one.
I like that one. I never heard that one, but
that's like the best day I had since brain was skiing. Like I couldn't believe I was skiing. If you told my rehab team that I was skiing, they wouldn't have believed this. Like, there's no way they thought I could ski again. Couldn't even walk when I told them this. Like, I'm gonna ski. In my head, it was like, I'm like 10 years. We're gonna do this 10 years. But inching towards this, like that's an example of like a goal setting for a long-term goal, right? That's a goal that was 10 years in the making from the ski trip, but 8 years from the brain injury. And I skied. But I visualized this and I built up my dexterity, my strength, and my flexibility, and I was inching towards this day by day, week by week, month by month, like inching, getting myself back up, and to the point where I visualized it so clearly that I knew that I could do this. It wouldn't be a question if I could do it. I knew I could do it. And I ripped it. I remember my old boots. I forgot how uncomfortable these boots were. They were bloody uncomfortable. At the bottom of the hill, I'd undo the boots every time because they're so damn tight. But I loved it because I was like, I remember this suck. I remember this suck with the boots. They're so uncomfortable. But then I'd do them up at the top and I'd ski down and I'd do it at the bottom of the chairlift. And like, I didn't think that was possible. But I shot and I went for it and I got it.
Have you been skiing regularly since?
No, just the one time, to be honest. I'm trying to go this year a few times if I can.
Okay.
I still have my gear. It's not been the best snow season for us in Vancouver, so I'm waiting for more snow to go on the hill.
Okay. So, I mean, this was a really big one. I get it. Are there any other things that you have in mind that you want to do for the future? That you might think you wouldn't be able to do, or you're not able to do yet, or
yeah. So that's a good question, Bass. I think the big one that comes to mind is a TEDx talk.
Mm-hmm.
I'd love to do a TEDx talk. I've got the skeletons in one ready to go, like that need to be adapted to the event, obviously. And the big, hairy, audacious goals, in 10 years' time, I want to be able to speak at MSG, Madison Square Garden in New York City.
Okay.
Which is a big arena, which is audacious as anything. Ambitious is like all hell, shut the front door kind of vibe, but like it's why not? Why not shoot? That skiing goal was impossible. Bass, I don't even want to tell you, it was a moon, like that was impossible. There's no way that I could ski. There's no way they thought I would be able to do this, and I was skiing. I'm telling you, work towards things day by day, inch by inch, row by row, month by month. Like you can build yourself up and get there. It's not easy, but it's simple, right? It's not easy, but it's simple.
Final question. No, not final question. Sorry, second final question.
Please.
How did you, or like, what was your decision to move back to Vancouver?
Yeah, COVID.
Okay.
COVID lockdown in London was horrible. It was atrocious. It was locked down the whole city. Living with flatmates, but like on my own in London, and like I was like, this sucks. London's pretty wicked when you can go back to Vancouver twice a year. When I'm trapped on that island for 2 years on my own, it's kind of an island. And I was like, I'm going to move back to Vancouver. Vancouver is where my friends and family are.
Mm-hmm.
I realize it's not where you are, it's who you're with. And I'm so grateful I moved back to Vancouver, got situated with my job at Hootsuite, and then got let go from my job at Hootsuite. Like, had I been in London, this whole rebuild would have been a lot more difficult to do because I lost my job. I would have lost my job in London as well because the whole team got let go. So I'm really grateful for that. But that's why I moved back to Vancouver. Pass.
Okay. Good. That was my second final question. My final question: what are you creating for yourself let's say for the near future? That's you set some big goals, but maybe a bit smaller. Let's say for 2024. Like, how do you get yourself out of your comfort zone this year?
Yeah, so the goal is to speak in the States next year for money, or at least book a gig,
Mm-hmm.
which means I gotta get a visa sorted out for the States first, and also foster some relationships. That's a big audacious goal. If I get one of those in, that's a rep, that's a vibe. That's the goal for next year, is to do that. And that's, I'm going to continue to speak in Vancouver as well, but I'm going to try and widen the scale and the breadth where I speak. I've spoken internationally in London a few times online. The game plan is to fly to the States in person, do that, and then get that as a regular income source. And the game plan is here to be wildly successful as a speaker, Bass. I want to be an impact player and make an impact in the world, but by changing the way you look at the world, right? Not by changing the world, by changing the way you look at the world. Perspective is big for me. I'm undergoing like a rebrand right now, with perspective being my main catch, my main topic. And it fits well with a lot of the stories I have are a lot perspective based, right? I'm changing the way you look at things. And I think I can offer that from a pretty unique perspective.
Good. Thank you, Dan. It was really wonderful to talk to you. Thank you for sharing your story so vulnerably. If people want to book you for a speaking gig, or if people want to get in touch with you, I mean, the notes are in sorry, where people can reach you are in the notes, but please feel free to promote yourself a little bit and say where people can reach you for what. And
the best way to reach me is through my website, McQueen Dan. That's MAC, just like the name says in the bottom, dan.com. You see my website and demo reel up there to see if the speaking I give could be a fit for your group. It's lighthearted, it's fun, it's joking, but very powerful in terms of messaging and lessons learned. My takeaways are quite key. I speak from the heart and from the hands. Make you feel something and make you do something tactfully afterwards. So that's the best place for them to reach me, Bass.
Okay, good. Dan, once again, thank you very much. I will be here next week on Thursday again with another guest in Beyond Your Comfort Zone. Thank you for watching. And once again, thank you, Dan.
Appreciate you, Bass. All the best.
Okay, bye.